Welcome back, everybody, to Clash and Conferences podcast. We had a big week last week to end the season with 2 head-to-head division matchups and a lot going on in our internal competition and seeding at stake for the Eagles and the Cowboys last week. So the scores of those 2 head-to-head matchups last week, we had the Giants in a big upset over the Eagles, ruining some playoff seeding, winning 27-10.
Let's go.
And we had Dallas taking very good handle of the Washington Commanders, 38-10.
As
in our
predicted.
internal competition, we had a very tight race right down to the last week of the year. Going into last week, we had Chris and Greg at 18 points, and we had Randy and the Cowboys at 15 points, still within striking distance. And in the end, our 3 categories gave us, we had rushing touchdowns. We had the Giants winning that one with 2 rushing touchdowns by Saquon, even though Chris wasn't overly confident in getting that rushing touchdown hit last week. We had reception yards going to the mighty Quez Watkins and Philadelphia Eagles for Greg there, getting him a point. And then in the last category, quarterback rush yards, we had...
No, the other way around. CD Lamb got.
I'm sorry. You're right. CD Lamb won at 9, just over Quez Watkins at 98.
I was like, damn, Greg won.
Are you going to give another one of my
points from you this year?
Exactly.
Quarterback rush yards went to the combination of Marcus Mariota and Jalen Hurts, getting Greg his point there for Philly. So our final scores here were 19 for Chris and the Giants, 19 for Greg and the Eagles, and 16 for Randy and Dallas, 8 for Paul and Washington. So we end up with a tie here. A little bit of a crazy scenario. Our producer has very arbitrarily chosen his longtime childhood friend to be the winner of our competition. So Chris Topher Pete Peterson, you are the winner. You're going to get 5 minutes of free time where nobody can interrupt you. You're going to get all your points out. But I am looking forward to hearing Greg's rebuttal here. He's certainly got a beef here. The reasoning behind Chris being the winner was that the Giants won the last game of the season. But hey, Greg, you guys split, so
and there was a point stolen from me.
And Chris had a point given to him very controversially mid-year on that whole QBR versus passer rating thing.
And the Eagles,
for everybody that's following us,
the Eagles are 11-5, not 5-11, or
6
say
5-11.
5-12.
Maybe Greg, maybe you can claim a national championship like the pre-CFP days or like FSU's trying to do right now. You just tell everybody you're the champion. So that is going to be our winner. Chris is going to get the win. Chris, you get 5 minutes of uninterrupted free time.
Go ahead and silence the podcast for a little while.
All right, we starting right now, Mike. Let's go. So
go ahead, buddy.
Just on the rebuttal on that, Greg, it's a long, long season, right? Season isn't won in the first 11 games when you're 10-1. Most teams, like the Giants, back when they won their 2 Super Bowls, got hot at the end of the year. At the end, you know what you guys are at the end of the year? 1-5 in your last 6. When you lose to Tampa this week, you'll be 1-6 in your last 7. You know what the New York Giants are in their last 7 games? 4-3, and they beat you. We're actually a better footballing team than you right now. That's just my opinion. But expectations, man. I had high expectations. Daniel Jones going into his 5th year. They didn't give him the 5th-year option. They said, look, this is a new regime. You got to go out there and prove it. He didn't have a lot. We had to go get Hodgins from the Bills practice squad. Slayton they were getting ready to get rid of, which I thought was a terrible decision. They didn't really like him when they first got there. Darius Slayton led us in receiving yards, I think, 4 out of 5 years since he's been there. We had Ricky James. I don't even think he caught a pass. I don't remember him doing anything in the NFL except playing on the Niners, special teams. And that's what we were rolling out there with, the 24th or 25th, maybe even the 26th ranked offensive line. It wasn't great. It was better than the one we had this year. I would take the one from last year again this year. And they said, prove it to us, Daniel. Go out there and prove it to us. You want to be here? Let's see what we got. And I'm sure they looked ahead. I know it's kind of hard to tell who's coming out, but I'm sure, I mean, they do their diligence and look before they made that decision. And he went out there and proved it. He had a mediocre team. They overachieved, and he did it. Like, he was the reason. He carried us. Barkley didn't do nothing in the second half of the year. Barkley really didn't have a great year this year because of the line. It's low yards per carry, man. We got to get Barkley. I don't even know if he's going to be there next year, but we got to get Barkley up. But the point of my story is I had high expectations. It went ugly right off the first play, the first drive against the Cowboys. As soon as our boy went down, like that's like the lifeblood of our offensive line. It's the only good piece we had. We did have a rookie. We never got a chance to really grow as a team. Like going into this season, I knew it was going to be a little rough. We have a lot of young guys on defense. I knew it was going to take a while to get in the wing system and get good. It just took a while. We never got a chance to gel, and it was a shit show from the beginning. My point is, I think we were standing around at Mike's wedding, and I think what even started this podcast was I brought a comment up, and Steven was all in, listening to us go at each other. I said, man, you take Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones and you swap them. I think the Eagles could still go to the Super Bowl. And I don't know if Jalen Hurts could have lifted us up and took us to the playoffs and won a playoff game. It wasn't a rag on him. It's just my opinion. I think all these quarterbacks need to help. They're not pulling the wagon. They're like pushing the wagon. They're helping. Somebody like Josh Allen is pulling that team. Yeah, Josh Allen, that's probably going to be the guy that wins the Super Bowl this year. They're hot right now. They're not ending the season 1-5. You got to get hot at the end of the year. It's not how you start. So I did have high expectations. But it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. I mean, they got hurt, and now I do agree with you, Greg. He is a liability. Do I think we're going to draft a quarterback? I don't think they're going to trade up. I think they might take one at 6 if they think he's the guy. I think they should take a guy if they think he's a guy. I don't think they're going to try to trade up to 1 or 2 or anything. He's a liability because in 21 he got hurt. Season was a shit show. He got hurt in 23. You see what happens. We need Daniel Jones to be healthy. You got to keep him upright. And we got to put a good squad around him. I'm still hoping that he's ready. They say he's rehabilitating well. They said he's throwing. He's like sitting in a chair throwing. He's trying to be involved. It's going to take some time. I'm hoping he's there week 1. They might not take a quarterback 6. They might take one in the second round. They got 2 picks in the second round. If they see a guy that they like and they put him in there and Daniel Jones gets hurt next year and this guy's the guy, I'm not going to be mad. I just want to win football games. I'm going to trust my regime. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I'm just going to sit back and watch, and I'm hoping they improve their offensive line. Daniel Jones had a good rookie year, fellas. Like, there was 3 games. He had 352 yards and 5 touchdowns, 308 yards, 4 touchdowns, 322 yards, 4 touchdowns. In 13 games, he had over 3,000 yards. The dude can ball in the right situation. Look at Jalen Hurts right now. Look at your $55 million quarterback. Got all these weapons. You got this great offensive line. Little bit of adversity. Guys get hurt. I mean, they're 1-5 in the last 6 games, man. They had games they needed to win. He's not getting it done. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying he's not
You got
one of
about
them.
one left.
I know. I figured it was going to go quick. I just don't think he's one of them guys, man. I'm not like, I want Daniel Jones to come back and be healthy next year. That was my thing. You guys always argue with me. You always jumped on me about Daniel Jones. But what I want the Giants to do is just win football games. I'm going to support my team. I'm excited for next year. Randy, all injuries aren't created equal, man. You said that to me. Well, all teams face it. These were detrimental injuries. This really beat our team up this year. And Paul, you sound like me with Sam Howell. Man, they put him in a bad situation. I feel bad for him. He's a good kid. Nobody says anything bad about him. That's the same way it is with DJ. Like, he's a good quarterback. He's a good guy. He's a good player. He just needs the right supporting cast around him. I mean, it's just the way it is, man. I'm hoping the Giants can bounce back. I hope they can fix this offensive line. It's going to be an exciting offseason. And I'll be back here next year. And I'm hoping DJ has a great year and gets comeback player of the year. And we're sitting here next year arguing with each other.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
And you're out.
Thank God.
Beat him up.
Let's go. I'd rather banner
I'm
with
very
you guys.
proud of you.
So
Our
Chris,
ratings are going to tank.
I gotta say again,
What
you're
did
talking
tanking
about
get you, though? Hold on. What did tanking get you, Paul? Like, tanking. Every year you say, I'm going to lose to get better. I'm looking to the future. The Browns did it for years.
No,
Browns
I said
had so many.
I said our ratings are going to tank after that.
All right,
I'm not
well,
talking
they're
about
not going to tank. But like this, they brought that up to me one week. I ain't worried about that dumb shit. You brought it up one week. You said, I want to lose to get a better pick to get better. And I said, well, where'd that get you? You guys haven't done anything in 30 years. The Jets been doing that. Their last 2 quarterbacks they struck out on. The Browns, I remember seeing a jersey one time, and there was like, they had their whole list of quarterbacks. Every year they were taking a different quarterback. I'd rather have the winning mentality and push. Now I am disappointed they got rid of Wink. I mean, he resigned, and there's a lot of politics in behind that. But
Stink Martindale needed to go, and your time is up.
yeah,
So
let's go.
Yeah,
I want
Randy
a
and
banner.
Greg,
Let's go.
Randy
let
and
let
Greg, I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
let's pull Greg
Go ahead,
in.
Greg.
He
Yep.
was second place in the competition.
Yeah.
He didn't get the championship handed to him as Chris did, but as a consolation prize, we're going to let him have a guest today.
Yeah,
I
I
earned
want
it.
to just thank you guys for that, and been long overdue. Like I said, I think the whole conversation started with him at the wedding with Jim. So want to introduce Jim to the show, kind of get
Love it.
his perspective on some things. Have him talk a little bit about his thoughts, what we're looking forward to this upcoming week, if not looking forward to anything, and then kind of see what his thoughts are after the season. So what's up, Jim? How are you today?
What's up? It's good to be here finally. I wish it was under different circumstances, like maybe 6 weeks ago. Um, Before I rebuttal with what Chris said, I do have to say one thing. You mentioned 30 years, and that's just about the same time the Cowboys won their last Super Bowl. It's been 28
Interesting.
years. So there's probably, like, the Halloween movies, like when they go down into the basement and like they open the book and like the layers and layers of dust. That's the Cowboys trophy case right now. So I
Jim,
just
if
want to
we
make sure
average it
I
out,
pointed that out.
Jim. If we average it out, you're at 1 in 60 years. I mean, again, I hear you.
It
It's
doesn't have
history.
that layer of dust though.
I can look
It's
into.
fresher.
I can look at this year and see the layer of dust blowing off right now, like the billows of the sea. Gone.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's been a rough
Billows
couple
of the
weeks.
sea.
What
But
do you
enjoy it now because you're definitely going to blow the Packers out. But then just wait till the inevitable disappointment that the Cowboys will have
but
in a
but
couple weeks. That
according to Chris's logic, I mean, the Packers have won 7 of their last 8. It
They've been
sounds
hot.
like they're going to the NFC Championship game to me.
They've been hot, and
Yeah,
Jordan
Bills
Love is
Packers in the
playing.
Super Bowl will be the greatest Super Bowl ever.
Bills and Josh Allen's been. I mean, not Josh Allen. Jordan Love's actually been playing really well, but I think the Packers'
You
problem is they
can't
don't really have a
stop. You can't
defense.
stop.
They don't have a defense.
Stop cheating! Stop cheating on DJ.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
Jim. So what do you think about this Birds squad? What are we going to do here?
so I can't put my finger on what's wrong with it, and they've been sucking me in for the past
Tell
6
you a few
weeks,
things.
and something happened. Well, something happened after that first quarter of the San Francisco game, and I don't know what has gone down, or like it's like the puppy that lost their way. Like they can't figure out what to do. I do think it's a little overrated and a little premature to say that Sirianni has lost the team because the guys are coming out saying no, it's on us, and I've been saying for weeks it's the execution. Everybody's so quick to talk about, at least from the offensive side, the play calling stinks. Brian Johnson this, and the guys just are not, like, Brian Johnson isn't fumbling the ball. Brian Johnson isn't changing the
True.
play at the line and trying to
Also
get a
true.
flag when all you need is a field goal against Seattle. So I'm not ready to bury Sirianni yet. I do think we go into this offseason and need to look at our coordinator situation. And I think what everybody always forgets too is because of the way the NFL does it, we didn't have a chance. We got the bottom of the barrel of coordinators because we were in the Super Bowl.
True.
And I don't know if they need to do something like they do with free agency, like no hiring
So
can take place until after the Super Bowl. Because I mean, was Gannon distracted in the Super Bowl because he knew he was going to get a job? You know what I mean? Like
Jim, answer this one for me. Okay, and I'll agree with you that I think there's a lot of overreaction on the Eagles, but in my opinion, I was saying it all year, is I feel like their 11-1 record when they were 11-1 was the opposite. I felt like they were playing much above their score was much above what they were actually playing. I feel like they've been half-heartedly winning all year. I agree there's an overreaction to their losses right now. I had a buddy tell me today he feels like there's a chance that the Eagles kind of last 6 weeks have just been on coaster because they don't really need to win. It's what I've been saying ever since you guys are giving me hell
I
about
don't buy that.
saying that from now on the games between Dallas and Philly don't really matter because they're both going to make the playoffs. So my question to you is, do you see the beginning of the year, like you're saying, where do all these struggles come from? They've been all year. It's just they managed to come out with a win in those games. Minus the Tampa game, they didn't really blow anyone out of the water. And it's like then you go to the Tampa game. So I guess to me, I just saw mediocrity early on in the year, and it was so frustrating being a Cowboys fan. The fact that you guys are actually winning games, give it to me. What do you think of that?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was mediocrity as much as I do think there's something to the Super Bowl hangover, and I think they carried some of that confidence in with them to start the season. But I feel that winning as well as losing, it kind of snowballs. And like picture like the old cartoons when like it starts going,
Mhm.
it goes. And I think early in the season, like and I've watched you guys all season, and like you were saying, they were finding
Appreciate
ways to
that.
win. And I do think that's a sign of a decent team is finding ways to win. But I feel like at this point, they're finding ways to lose. And I can't put my finger on what it is. And I'll be honest. I think 6 weeks ago, my answer to this probably would have been different. But I do think there's something to be said that maybe we overrated them somewhat coming in. I don't know though if I would go as far as saying they're a mediocre team. I
Well,
think
yeah. I would say just more mediocre play in games where they could have made gaps. They just didn't. They seem to once
Where's
they
the
get a
sense of
lead,
urgency
coast
though?
along and bump along.
When's somebody going to step up though and
that's
like
what
like what the coach? Like I do blame the coach. Like
That's
there's
what I'm
fighting on the
waiting for.
sideline. There's fighting on the sideline. There's poor execution. Like penalties, they've been getting a lot more penalties called on them on the offensive line. Don't the coach usually take the blame for the sloppy play and the lack of urgency? Like, and you needed to win one game. In the last 3 games of the season, you were
right.
playing the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants, and everybody was like, "That's a cakewalk." Like, win one game and you win the division. Like, where's the sense of urgency? Like, that's what I'm saying. And then there has been some poor play.
Oh,
There's
don't
been
get me
some poor.
wrong. Nick Sirianni is not without blame in this at all. Like he definitely has his fair share. I just think the overreaction to saying, "Hey, we need to fire Sirianni," that might be a little bit too much because I just saw probably about an hour before I hopped on here. There was an interview with Javon Hargrave,
I was going to
and
bring it up.
he
I was
was
going to bring it up.
oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
take your
talk about it. Yo, that's what I was going to
but
bring up next.
he basically said, like, somebody asked him, what's the difference between San Francisco and Philly? And basically, it was the intensity level. Now, of the way they practice, like they practice hard. And that's something we questioned back in preseason whether or not they should be tackling more, whether or not he should be giving guys days off. And Hargrave basically flat out said, yo, it's way more intense here. Shanahan, like, he makes us work. And I think
Weren't they
was his
praising?
exact quote. This is work.
But wasn't he getting praised by your media last year because of that? And that's why you guys didn't have the injuries that you
Yeah,
had, and everybody was saying, "Oh, his smart coaching and his
Yeah.
smart like
Going
the
to the
way he
Super
does
Bowl
practice."
overlooks a lot of things. Just like early in the season, we overlooked a lot of the deficiencies that the Eagles did have because they were winning. But like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around. I think for next week, I, I don't know.
I mean, you
Like,
could win
part of
that
me,
game
like
and
I've been
start
having
winning a
this
game.
battle.
I mean that could easily happen. You did win
Absolutely. I
some
mean,
games.
the two.
You could get hot again. You could.
Well, in
Any team
2012,
can.
the Ravens went into the playoffs losing like 5 or 6 or something, and they ended up going and winning the Super Bowl. So, and I was reading up on some of it, and a lot of the things that people were saying about that team are very similar to what they're saying about the Eagles now. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm too close to it. I find it. I can't see how they're going to just turn it on like that.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
So
I think if they
Greg,
are coasting, that's an
yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Greg, you
I don't
thought
think
you
they're
had an
coasting, man.
answer in a pre-show.
I think
What
they're
were
just
you going to
losing.
say?
No, I was just joking with that.
Okay.
The answer that I have is they gotta flip the switch and actually coach their defense. You know, the fact that we had last year's leading sack leader dropping back 7 times in coverage, covering their slot receiver is absolutely ridiculous. It just goes to it shows how much Matt Patricia is in touch with his team. Not at all. Like Reddick is trained to do one thing, and that's attack the quarterback, not drop back in coverage and covering a slot receiver.
Reddick's good.
And when I saw that, the worst part was it was the first play of the game. And I was like, what the hell's going on? I text you guys, I text Jim and his brother Kyle and our Uncle Roach and John, and I'm just like, what is he doing? And by the end of the game, he had 7 dropbacks. So like that was the frustration level. But I did, Randy, you are right. I did find the secret. I realized that I haven't been wearing my Eagles green boxers, and I haven't worn them in the last 7 games. So
Guy said his lucky underwear.
I got the
Brown
lucky underwear
After the
out.
last 7 weeks, they're probably brown anyway.
Hey, listen, I haven't worn them, so that's the problem. So I got them sitting on the desk or the dresser, waiting for Monday night. So
Do you
we'll
wash
see
them
if the lucky
between
underwear
games?
are really lucky. I haven't. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
You
I
have
didn't
to
know if
wash
it was
them.
one of them
That.
deals where you put them on
Dude.
and you take them off and then put them back
Just
on the
keep
following
wearing 'em?
Sunday.
I'm
keep-
6'2", 300 pounds. I've
I
washed my
know.
underwear.
I'm just making sure because I'm gonna be like, that dresser probably really
happen.
stinks if they're hanging there waiting for Sunday
Things
or
naturally
Monday.
happen.
out of
So-
control.
Yeah, so I appreciate not Kyle coming on, and I appreciate a lot of the points that you made. I mean, I really think one of your biggest issues has been that you're using the Redskins defense and Wink Martindale as your defensive coordinator the last 6 weeks, and it's a toxic conversation. Combination. You've got an entire like pickleball court open right over the middle, and your offense is hating it because it's the same thing that happens with the Redskins. I mean, I'm not comparing you to the Redskins, but offense has to get out there, and look, now you're already down, or the offense or the defense just threw you right back out there.
You're asking your offense to play perfect is what you're doing when your defense stinks. That's what 100%. We did last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it sucks.
And
it's
then
hard.
they press and make mistakes and fumble and throw interceptions. And Jim said something that I want to kind of reiterate is we're finding out from the media and from the players that Jalen is changing the play and doing his own little street ball routine during the games. And I'm like, well, how much respect?
I think he might have a little bit of. I think he might have a little Russell Wilson in him, where he's kind of his own person, and he's going to go out there, and it's not passive aggressive, but he's kind of a prick. It's very possible he's just a prick. You can call whatever play you want. Bud Kilmer can call it however he wants to. We're going to go out there and going to change the play there.
Ooh, so Coyotes, here we go.
The Coyotes from West Canaan. So. No, I think you can actually win this game, and if I'm looking at the schedule, I think I would rather play the Bucs than almost anybody
and
this week.
Is the conspiracy theory.
Last week you said Green Bay.
Well, no, I mean in Green Bay, according to you, is like all world. So I wouldn't want to play them. I don't think they're all
world. I don't think they have a defense. I think that's why they lose this week.
Well, the Buccaneers have the X factor, which is Baker Mayfield. Like no matter what happens, it's still freaking Baker Mayfield. So
they also have a defense that's similar to the Giants, and Todd Bowles is going to bring that pressure. They're going to bring it. They're, I think, third in the league in sending blitzes, and for whatever reason, Jalen's not reading the blitz. Last week, I think there was 7 times he had 2 guys come clear. He's not sending anybody in motion to pick up the blitz when he sees it. That's why you send the guys in motion to see what they're in. See if they're in a cover 2, if they're man-to-man, somebody across the line. They're not doing any of that, just to pre-snap reads.
Something definitely happened after that 49ers game, and I think Bosa was explaining how to contain him, and we were containing him. That's why he was throwing the ball. He had to throw the ball away a lot on Sunday. I mean, they were forcing him out, and normally he can be fluid and dance around back there and find the open guy. And he's not getting that right now. He's not having that.
But I've also said it seems like the one game, I don't remember which one it was, where Hurts, I think it was the first Cowboys game, where the defender ran into Hurts' knee as he was sliding. I feel like even ever since then, Hurts has not looked he has times where he does, but so many times I've just seen him slide, but he can go another 5-8 yards, and he just doesn't.
Right. But he's still getting hurt. He got hurt a couple of times. He hurt his knee a couple of times in the Giants game still, but in the short time he was in there.
But
whatever happened to his finger.
There's something wrong with that knee, yeah. And that's the other thing. You guys got so many injuries now. But I do got a lot of
I'm not
stuff
even.
for. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I'm not even convinced he's going to play on Monday. That finger was
Really?
jacked up. I mean, it
Yeah, I
was
thought he was
I
just
thought
dislocated
it
saluting
in
was
two
just.
Randy
I
different
on.
thought it
Yeah,
was
that
spots.
was
just.
nasty.
I thought he flicked everybody off. I thought it was just dislocated though. I thought they said he popped it back in, and I mean I know it hurts, but
Yeah, but I
come on, he's
mean,
an NFL football
it
player.
was nasty.
It did look bad.
Well, I do got a bunch of stuff for you and Jim, Greg. I don't know.
All right.
I
Go
don't know
ahead,
if you're
Randy.
ready to hear it, but I kind of want you guys to rebuttal. First of all, Jim, good having you here. Next time you call me
Absolutely.
a cockroach on the podcast, I'll have to come on a cockroach outfit. But if you guys ever want to hear Jim, it's this day in Philly sports, right, Jim?
This day in Philly sports history.
This day in Philly sports history. Got a good podcast all about Philly sports. But here we go, guys. Put your freaking big boy britches on because this isn't going to be fun.
Yeah.
Go Geiger.
Greg, do you remember me telling you who the Eagles reminded you of about halfway through the season? I said there's a team they remind me of. And do you remember who that was?
No.
The
I don't.
Dallas Cowboys from during the Roma era. You guys remind me so much of that, where you
I
guys
don't remember that.
go up and down, look
I don't either.
flashy, but you guys struggle to win in the end. It reminds me the way you guys can score, the way you guys are good. It just reminds me of that.
Pretty much the Cowboys every year in the playoffs.
Now, listen,
Can't get it.
this is
Can't get it
changing.
done.
Paul,
Can't get it
Chris,
done.
what did you tell me? You're saying it right now. What did I say is going to happen in December? What did you guys keep telling me? Cowboys are going to fall apart in December. Guess who fell apart in December? The Eagles.
The Birds.
The Eagles,
We
to
did.
me, today, are the Cowboys of the 2010 era. They're hot. They could be awesome. They could beat anybody, but they're completely unpredictable and they're struggling to win when a time's important. My opinion. I look at, right now, Dak. I've been ripping on Dak all year. But you know who the number one quarterback is as far as quarterback, or the number one and number two quarterbacks as far as touchdowns to turnovers are? Number two is Josh Allen. Number one is actually Dak Prescott, something I would have never, ever thought in a million years would happen.
Dak's having a year, man. How many interceptions did he throw this year? He said
Eagles collapse.
Said he wasn't going to throw 10.
9. This Eagles collapse is the worst collapse ever in NFL history.
Awful.
Never, ever before has there been an 11-1. Listen, never before has there been an 11-1 team
Historic.
that has ended up not getting.
This isn't the first season
a
of
10-1.
football.
I'm sorry, a 10-1 team that has not gotten to 12 wins. That has not gotten to 12 wins.
And we played 17 games too. You forgot to add that in.
I was following you on that one. But to me, I look at the Giants, Washington, and right now I think they're just as good of a team to you. You guys started your starters last week. You have all your stars besides Goddard injured and probably not questionable, but aren't going to be playing. Well, I should say you got Hurts, you got Devontae Smith, you got
who will play Monday.
All that being said, I've come up with a name for all four of you guys. Chris, you're delusional. Eagles fans, Greg, you guys are dysfunctional. Washington, you're decommissioning your whole team. Meanwhile, Dallas is determined to win. And I'm just saying, there's the 4 Ds right there, all in one. I look at CD. He's probably one of the best receivers in the league right now, if not the best. I didn't see that at the beginning of the year. You were asking about Russ. You guys were talking about interceptions. Right now, leading with Dallas. Dak has 17 picks.
Spit it out.
I'm sorry. I'm saying this wrong. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Why don't you just have the chat GPT say it just like it wrote, just like they wrote it?
Okay, Dak has 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Hurts has 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Hal, you know what Hal has, Paul?
A lot.
21 and 21. DJ, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Again, you guys, Chris, you were saying earlier about Dallas or about DJ being just like every other quarterback. It's not even close to true.
You're once again taking it out of content. You got to look at what he was surrounded by. Look what he did last year. He barely turned the ball over last year.
I hear you.
That's why I
hear you.
said,
but the first game of the year, you were surrounded by your talent, and you guys scored 0 points,
dude. It was a brand new.
They lost Andrew Thomas.
Brand new systems, brand new players, pouring down. It was a lot of reasons, and it's fine. We did lose Andrew Thomas. And it was ugly.
Now, I just again.
If we would have started out 3-3, I would have been very happy. It was going to take a little time for us to gel. We never got that chance.
if you're an Eagles fan, you got to look right now at your guys that are most likely not coming back next year. You got Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Bradbury, Graham, Lane Johnson most likely is going to retire. Like,
No,
you guys are at the point where I look at it to next year and I'm like, dude, are you
It's gonna
guys
be
going to
like
be
the
the
end of this
Redskins
year.
for the next 5 years? Again, I'm saying this because I'm curious what your feedback is, but I'm looking at the Eagles right now and I'm
We have a
seeing
GM that builds teams. That's point blank. We have an owner that wants to have a good team. Point blank.
The
We
next
will
couple of years,
always
you're going to
compete.
rebuild.
And we have competed every year since, well, not every year, most years for the last, 20 years?
You had years where you
Almost.
missed the playoffs, though. We had a couple years ago. We were all bad.
But we
were
don't
all
go.
bad, and you
Yeah.
let
We
the
don't go
Redskins win to make
several
the
years in a
playoffs.
row, I guess is my point. We have a GM. Well, we didn't necessarily have him when Chip Kelly was here. Now we have him. He's out of the closet again. So, like, he
Came
has
out of
his
the
faults
closet.
as well. I'm curious to get Jim's take
I
on
think
this.
it's going to come down to I want to see what Jalen Hurts does this offseason and how he comes into training camp to see if he really is injured or if he just isn't as good as we thought he was. Because I think next year is going to
That's
be make or
probably it.
break with that contract. And truthfully, I'm not going to be to borrow Randy's word, I'm not going to be delusional like certain people and say, "Oh,
Dude, you all
Jalen Hurts
crowned
is
him
the
like an
greatest freaking
MVP,
coming in
top 3
Jesus Christ."
quarterback after 1 year.
But
After 1 year, you
He
crowned him
was.
as
listen,
yeah, but this year you would
I got
take
sucked
Dak over
into
him, right? And last year you would last year, right? Who would you have taken last year, right? You would have taken Jalen Hurts over Dak any given day, right? Jalen Hurts had a way better
Absolutely.
year.
I
So
don't
this
think
year, who
anybody
would you
saw
take this
that.
year? Who would you take this year? If somebody said
The
in the
first
beginning of
11 games,
yeah, you would
he
take
was an MVP candidate. The
this
first
year?
11 games.
Dude,
This
Dak,
year,
He was.
yes. He
Dak
was
outplayed
an
him all
MVP
year,
Actually, he
candidate.
man.
was until the
Until the
Dallas
12th or
game. He
13th
was.
game.
Just because he was 10-1, dude, he didn't really perform at that high level all year. Like he wasn't out knocking like the socks off
Chris, he
everybody.
had how many rushing touchdowns?
so
Yeah, from the 1 yard line.
he did have a
they're
lot of rushing,
touchdowns.
but he also had 6 fumbles.
And you
True.
also have
So-
the number 1
That's what I
offensive
need to see
line and
him clean
probably the
up.
number 1 receiving core, and you
So,
should be. Why
I
ain't he
mean,
doing it
Greg
now?
Greg and Jim, the one comment I got to make is like I felt like you guys were very quick to ship out Carson Wentz, and
That's what they
Carson
do.
Wentz
There's
just
no
went and
loyalty in
started
that
for
city.
was it the Rams this year? He went and started a game for last week and looked great.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Be the
are you
most
guys
loyal
going to
fan
go
base.
bail on Hurts as soon as stuff starts getting rough? Because I feel like the
They
Eagles
are.
are the most impatient team
100%.
in the NFL. As soon as a quarterback doesn't perform, it's like, well, let's start the whole system over again.
So
Yes.
But two
But
things for
Chris-
that. One, yes, we are impatient. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Rather than toiling around with somebody like Daniel Jones for year after
Yeah.
year after year and
There's nothing wrong
expecting
with
something
Daniel
different.
Jones. He's just not
isn't
going
that
to
the
carry
definition
us.
of
Just like your
insanity?
quarterback ain't going to carry us. Your quarterback ain't going to carry you
But
either. That's why.
there
That's
was
why he
way
ain't getting the.
more.
Yeah, when you put the number 1
There
offensive
was
line in
more to
front
the
of him and the
Carson
number 1
Wentz thing
receiving
than
core,
just not performing well for a
he
year.
didn't even take a leap until he got Brown. Give us a number 1 wide receiver and let's see what happens.
Your GM should be doing that. That's
He's
my
working
point.
on it. He's working on it.
That's why you guys are
It's a new regime.
befuddled
It's a new regime.
team
It's
and always will
going to be
be.
our 3rd year. No, 4 Super
So-
Bowls. Talk to me when you
but-
get 4. You got 1. You're the
Again,
poverty of the
Randy,
podcast.
delusional was the right word.
No,
Yeah, delusional was
it's
right.
the
Again,
truth. It's the truth.
My only point to all of this, right,
And
is
he's
in
Wentz
the end of
2.0
it,
is what he is.
like I feel like you guys have just year after year switched coaches, completely changed your system, and it worked 1 year with Peterson, and it's like, Peterson, and it's like, oh, dude, if you guys aren't in first place in the league, it's like it's time to rebuild, and it's again, I just see a team like Hurts, a young quarterback like Hurts or Wentz or Foles, or you name Kevin Cobb. I mean, you name the quarterbacks that have gone through Philly that look pretty good. And all of a sudden, Philly's washing them up for the next shiny object. And believe me, as a fan, I love it. I don't like the fact that you guys won the bowl a couple of years ago. I think there were some shady shenanigans, but whatever. All I'm saying is, in the end of it, do you guys not see that as a little bit of a problem? And it's what I've been saying all year.
You
Greg,
hated
you're
Donovan
wondering what the
Those
McNabb,
guys
problem
too.
is.
done when they left Philly, though. Those guys have not done it's not like Foles went and lit it up. It's not like Kevin Cobb did anything. It's not like
relevant.
Wentz was out of the league until this
Yeah,
year.
Wentz got injured. I mean, that's the problem with Wentz. I mean, he fell
Went to
off once he got
Washington.
yeah.
How do you do at Washington?
I mean, I just know I watched
How's
Wentz
anybody
leading
doing
the
Washington?
Rams this week with a bunch of backup receivers, and he looked great against San Francisco. I know San Francisco was starting backups too. I'm just saying, I feel like there's never been an Eagles team where they've said, hey, okay, we're going to really actually build around this team. It's always like, okay, we got our good year out of them.
Why were you so
shipping
quick
him
to
off.
get rid of Peterson after he won a Super Bowl, though? Like, didn't you get rid
Because
of
he
him?
wanted more. He wanted more control. He wanted.
And why
to
not? He won you a Super Bowl. Did he deserve it?
Well,
you put a
that's
statue out
that's-
there of him and your backup quarterback, which was dumb. But yeah,
And this is because we won a Super Bowl. It's dumb that we
you
put
won
a
your first Super
statue.
Bowl ever.
You don't
Like,
even have a statue, Chris. You don't even have your own stadium.
We don't even. Why you need a statue of a guy that won a Super Bowl and then fire him the next year? Like, how dumb is that?
He didn't
Look,
get
I-
fired.
And then you're
for statue.
impatient. You're impatient
Go
when
ahead,
you won
Paul.
one Super Bowl. It ain't like you win every year. Like, what are you impatient?
Paul, go
about?
ahead. You've been patient and quiet. Go ahead.
You should have rode the hot
Well,
hand for a little while.
First of all, we need to wrap this up, but I
We
want to
do.
wrap it up with this. I'm going to make a bold prediction for next year. I don't want anybody on any of the other three teams to change a damn thing. You keep all your freaking coaches, you keep all your players.
I'd love
Even
to.
the Cowboys?
I'd love
My
to.
bold prediction is that your quarterback, your coaching, and your teams, all three, will not be as good as they were this year.
I don't
That's
know.
my bold
That
prediction.
is a very bold prediction.
Well,
We'll be
that's why it's
better.
called
We
a
gotta
bold
keep-
prediction. But
I got to
you know,
keep
do I
that in
want-
my formerly
want-
nicotine stack of stuff for you.
Yeah. Do I want
Golly.
Dable to stick in? Absolutely. Do I want
I do
Daniel
too.
Jones back on the field? Absolutely.
So do I.
Do I want Jalen Hurts the way he is right now? Absolutely. Do I think Dak's going to be more like last year than this year or next year? Yes, absolutely. Keep everybody. Please
What
keep
about-
everybody.
So
What about
disappointed
your
Daniel Snyder
team?
sold the team.
Yeah.
Are
Hi,
you
yeah,
what
bringing
about your
people
team?
back, Paul? You just got rid of your coach. You got unknown questions at quarterback. What's going to happen with the Redskins next year?
I don't know. It's like every day is draft day for us because it's like who's going to switch out? Who we got some basketball analyst for our GM. So
that was
he
funny.
knows sports and can put together teams, but just because you're awesome at checkers doesn't make you a chess master. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be excited to see it. There's a whole lot of things that that really could piss me off, but for the most part, I anticipate the moves that are made to make me happy. I mean, you throw Bill Belichick in there as the coach, it's going to piss me off. I'm going to go find a new team. Things like that.
Hey,
But
I know a good
for the
team.
for the most part, no matter what happens, I'm going to be like, all right, well, let's give this a whirl. Let's see what happens. New coach, new atmosphere, new everything. We were starting to sell out the stadium, which people were coming to 3 games this year, probably was more than all of last year combined at home, for the fans. Forget about the opposing fans, but for the home fans. So, no, you're not going to bring me down. We are going to, be more of a winning franchise there.
You're not going to bring me down.
I would like to try to bring you down. I'll trade you the first pick this year for the next 3 years,
Ooh.
number 1 picks, because I think
not
you
gonna
guys are
happen.
going to be awful whether you get this good quarterback out of USC next year or not. The Bears
I
could
already
trade you that pick, and we could end up with the number 1 pick 3 years in a row because of that.
I
That's what I'm looking
I
for.
don't see anyone
I know.
making a trade that dumb anymore, Mike. I mean, it could happen, but
Yeah, we've already done it once, but no, I said it a couple of weeks ago. You can bring in any quarterback you want, but if you don't fix the problems that are on the team, all you're doing is going to damage that. You're just going to Justin Fields that person up.
That's why we don't need to draft a quarterback 6.
Exactly. You don't need a quarterback at all. You got the best one in the league, my friend.
I don't. I don't
You've
have
got the
it.
second
He plays in
coming
Buffalo,
of Josh
buddy.
Allen.
I wish.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I already cut you off with that. You got the second coming of Josh Allen right there on your team, buddy. I say you go for it.
So
You go
before
for it.
we head out, Jim, where can we find you? And thank you for coming on. We
Absolutely,
appreciate
Jim.
it.
Good seeing
Thank
you,
you,
bro.
Jim.
And thank you.
yeah, Jim.
Oh,
thanks.
guys, thanks so much for having me. Like, I've been looking forward to this all year. You guys are doing a great job, by the way. Keep it up. Like, you're my Thursday morning routine when I'm getting my stuff set up for work. It's great.
That's awesome, buddy. Thank
But
you.
you can find me every day, this day in Philly sports history, on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Usually about a 15 to 25 minute little podcast about the state of Philly sports. We've been doing a lot of Eagles, and then whatever happened that day in Philly sports history. So anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you again for coming, and go Birds.
We'll be back
Fly
soon with the
Eagles
second
fly.
half.
I don't have my radio, but fly Eagles fly, Greg.
They're going to shock the world on Monday. They're going to get back. get right spot
They're
finally.
going to shock something anyway.
All right, guys. Thank you.
We'll be back soon. All right, welcome back. We're here with the second half of Clashing Conferences podcast and looking forward to the playoffs now. We got two NFC East teams who have
We're talking about
qualified.
the playoffs.
We got the Eagles going to Tampa Bay this weekend, or actually, I think that game is on Monday, right,
Monday.
Greg?
Yeah,
Yep, Monday
So we
night.
got the Eagles going to Tampa Bay on Monday night, and the Eagles favored by 3. We got the Cowboys at home versus the Packers. If you're looking at FanDuel, you got the spread at 7.5. Randy's somehow trying to shave that down to 7, I think he
Should be.
says. So we'll see what that is. With the second half, we got the internal competition that we normally kind of key on with our second half. That is obviously over with Chris winning that thing or tying Greg. I'm gonna give the tie in my eyes.
There you go.
So we're gonna move on to a new competition. We're gonna do a little bit of a confidence pool for the playoffs. There's 13 total games from, I believe, 6 games this weekend down to the Super Bowl where there's going to be just one game that week. So 13 total games. You're going to assign a number 1 through 13 to each of these games this weekend. So if you think that, for example, the Eagles are the lock of the year to beat the Bucks, you would put 13 points assigned to that game. And then you can assign another game 13
There you go,
points for the
Greg.
rest of the playoffs.
Shock the
So
world.
you get to use 13 once, 12 once, 11 once, all the way down to 1 from the first game down to the Super Bowl. At the end, whoever has the most points is going to win. One more small wrinkle in there. We're going to say right now today, as everybody picks their wild card weekend picks, we're also going to have each guy pick a Super Bowl winner. And there's 5 bonus points if the pick you pick is your Super Bowl winner today.
And Mike,
is the
this
Super Bowl winner at
competition,
the end.
this confidence competition, it's you pick a heads up team, correct?
Correct. No spreads.
So you're picking the team and the confidence level.
You got it. Correct. So with that being said, Paul, you waited till last. Why don't you lead off the second half here with your picks?
All right. I will take the spreadsheet's a little hard for me to see, so I'm just going on what I see on ESPN. I'm going to go the Texans with at 3.
That's ballsy. Come on, Paul.
I'm going to take.
Boy.
You would have been much more prepared for this had you called me a couple days ago.
You want me? I can shoot mine out a while.
Yeah, you want one of us to go, and then
Randy, if you're ready, go ahead and lead off, Randy.
Randy
All
goes
right. Well,
first.
I was making a point at halftime, and I just want to finish that point.
Damn it!
If the Eagles
Chris.
beat Tampa, I would love to see them play San Francisco and beat them, so we can host the Eagles at home for the NFC Championship. Is my only point. We were talking about seeding not mattering.
Dude, that was an absolute gem.
Mattering. Thank you.
Make your picks. Make your picks.
All right. Picks are Tampa at 2. Eagles, Tampa. I'm taking Tampa. Confidence level 2.
Tampa
Dallas
2.
at Green Bay. Tampa 2, baby. You know what? One of the reasons I'm saying is Stephen A. Smith, who has literally drooled at the Eagles pedestal all year, quote, says Baker will cook the Eagles. Stephen A. Smith. He's usually wrong. He hates the Cowboys. Said they weren't going to do anything this year. But anyway, Dallas, Green Bay.
He hates the Cowboys.
Giving you a Dallas confidence of 10.
Ooh.
I took.
Detroit Rams. I'm taking Detroit at a confidence level of 6. Buffalo, we're going all the way up to 11 for Buffalo Steelers. Steelers should not be in this. Besides the Eagles, they're the most overrated team in the playoffs this year. Cleveland, Houston. Paul was picking Houston. Please bleep that. What a goofball. Paul.
Oh,
Cleveland.
Have you ever looked at yourself in the face in the mirror before? Have you looked at that face recently?
Cleveland at a confidence level of 3. Kansas. I want to say this just
Kansas.
Yes.
We're not
Kansas, Miami.
anymore.
You lose your pick.
Kansas City at a 7.
Wow. Why? All year you
There's
were
your
telling me
picks.
the Dolphins were the best
And
team in that division.
I
They're better
do
than the
think they
Bills.
are, but
They are
Obviously, you
very
don't.
injured.
Bills are missing. Miami's missing a lot of pieces right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see them holding up to a very, very good in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Dallas is my Super Bowl pick.
And it's an Arrowhead too.
Interesting, Paul.
2
Next
degrees.
point.
2 degrees in Arrowhead right now.
Yeah.
Do we know if what Miami players are playing?
None of them.
Do we know which Eagles players are playing?
No, we don't.
Well, none of them.
Yeah. So,
Will
all
it
right, I'll
matter?
go.
I do know which Washington players are playing.
None of them. Same as the G,
It
man.
will.
Yeah.
It will matter though. You don't think Miami? You don't think Tyreek going to back to Kansas City matters?
I do, but they're missing so many pieces, Greg. They're missing Chubb. They're missing Waddle still. I mean, these are big.
But what has Miami done? And what Waddle could play?
You know what the difference is? Pat
I don't know.
Mahomes, he's one of them top 3 guys. It's playoff time. This is different. This is a different game now. It's a different season.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do my picks. And Randy, we do have some similar picks.
No, you
I'll
took
just say
Tampa.
that. I am taking Tampa.
Really?
I am with a
Ooh.
confidence level of 3.
Whoa.
I took Tampa too.
I'm taking the Cleveland Browns.
Greg, I actually
at
agree with you on that.
4. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins at 5.
Hmm.
I'm going to take the Rams at 7. This is where I hate myself for agreeing with Randy. I'm going to take Dallas with a 10.
Baby girl.
And I'm taking the Bills at 13.
Wow. That's some confidence right there.
Josh Allen.
I know you're taking the Bills at 13 as well, Chris.
Yep. I'll wait till my turn. I'll go.
It is
14 if you could.
Is it my turn?
Can I use the 13 and the 1 on the Bills?
All right. Well, I've been saying it all year. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. That's my Super Bowl pick. I think they got hot. You guys can call me crazy. I'm gonna ride with them all the way through. My New York team didn't make it, so I'm gonna go with that New York team. And I think the Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl. So when I get my +5 for that, that'll probably help me win this competition too. So I'll start with that game. I'm gonna go with the Bills, and I'm gonna give them a 13 because I'm riding with them. So Bills 13. We'll go back up to the Browns and Texans. I'm going to take the Browns. I think they're going to ride the hot hand. I like this little story with Joe Flacco. I'm going to take the Browns at a 6. I've never been in the believer of the Dolphins. They do got a lot of problems. It's time, man. It's Pat Mahomes' time. I'm going to take the Chiefs, but even though I'm pumping them up, I'm going to give out a 4. I'll give the Chiefs with a 4. Dallas Packers. So Dallas, you're at home. I do believe you're going to win. Jordan Love is playing good. We made Jordan Love look bad. I think Dallas defense could knock him back down to reality, and I don't think they have enough to beat you. So I'm going to take Dallas at 8. I am a believer in the Lions. I think Dan Campbell will have them ready for that game, and I'm going to take the Lions with 5. And I'm going to agree with Greg. I'm going to take the Bucks with a 3.
So let me just stop you there, Chris. So far, no one has taken Baltimore or San Fran.
They're not playing.
They're not in the divisional.
He's saying to win the Super Bowl.
To win a Super Bowl.
Well, I didn't pick my Super Bowl pick yet.
That's what I was going to go back. And Greg, you never picked your Super Bowl pick.
I'm going to take the 40 Winers. The 40
Winers. They look good.
Paul, you ready?
That team that said they would beat you with Purdy, and they did.
I'm going to take the Texans at 2.
Oh, it was 3 before.
Oh, you're switching it.
I'm aware. Oh, you can shut it. Oh, you can shut
it. He lost some confidence.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were giving him crap, and he decided that might not be a good pick anymore.
Well, to be honest, I forgot about Flacco. Like I was like, who in the world does they have up there? How did they get?
Did you just
playoffs?
say you forgot about Flacco? That's your reasoning why the team's going to lose a game?
It's a blue hen, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. These are going to be awesome picks.
No, he took Houston still. He just took him at 1 point less.
True.
I'm going to go Chiefs at 4. I'm going to go Bills at 12.
Ooh.
Ooh, why not 13?
Cowboys. Got your face. Cowboys at 13.
Oh,
Ooh.
Packers win, baby.
Got a
Here,
lot of
let's go.
Cowboys believers.
Um, Lions at 6.
That's where I got them.
And the
Guys are
freaking
best friends again.
No.
Eagles at 1.
Oh, one.
Wow. Hey,
I
he's the
am
only one to pick
very
the
early
Eagles.
going to make a prediction. Paul is going to win this thing.
You
So,
think?
you know what's
Yeah.
interesting is the closet Eagles fan, Paul, picked the Eagles, but at a very low confidence. I did note that.
Super Bowl winner, Paul.
But he was
Uh,
smart enough on the easiest games to assign very high confidence
Yes,
ratings.
it's not
These
that
games
hard.
are only
What
going to
about
get
mine?
harder
Yeah,
as
they're
we
only
move
going to get
forward.
harder.
Yeah, I
They're
Well,
going to
hold
understand
get
on a
that.
second.
I
easier. So
understand that.
Hold
it's
on a
very
second.
smart to use those
I
big
No,
saved
numbers
too
my
late.
early.
12. I saved my 12 and 13 for the number 1 and number 2 team who aren't even playing this week. So don't give me that he's smart. He's just an old man that forgets about
Yeah,
how
there's some
football
other good
works.
games.
But they're still
Yeah.
going to play they're still going to play a decent team next week, whoever, both of them.
Somebody
Uh,
better than the
San
Steelers.
Francisco's going to
Yes.
either play the Tampa or the Eagles. I feel pretty confident in that one.
I'm giving a 12 to whoever they play.
I'm giving a 13 to whoever they play.
Well, I had to go with my Super Bowl pick. There's no way the
So
Bills are
my
losing. There's
my
no way the
Super
Bills are
Bowl
losing to the
is
Steelers.
Oh,
my
famous
Super
last
Bowl. I
words.
really want to take the Cowboys just so I will forfeit the 5 points, just so they don't win. But I also don't want to screw that up and I don't want those 5 points.
He's taking the Ravens.
Yeah, no, trust me. I kind of want to take the Ravens, but I cannot. I cannot deal with the Ravens winning a Super Bowl, just like I can't deal with the Cowboys or the Eagles winning a Super Bowl.
Take the
Uh,
Giants then. Oh, they're not in the
Oh, they
playoffs.
can't win a Super Bowl this year.
So
Good thing they got 4
Niners.
of them.
yes, please.
Niners, 2 Niners. There we
Who
go.
got 4 of them that are
All right, that is our
One in
picks.
every decade.
We got 2 guys still alive here in the
Consistency.
playoffs and the real thing. You guys got anything you want to say about your games this week?
I'm scared. I'm scared. Matt Patricia's running our defense. Baker Mayfield is mediocre, but is having a good season and could potentially throw all over. If from what we're hearing and they don't care and they're just getting ready for the playoffs, it's not critical that we won, blah 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 blah, and come out and play lights out, I will be very very surprised, pleasantly surprised. I just don't see it. Can't just turn on a switch in the NFL. Just like you can't do it in many other professional sports. So I don't know. I hope for the best, but I don't see it. I don't see us going down there and beating up on anybody, especially Tampa Bay.
Well, for the boys, I been not believing in Dak all year, and this is
That's why you like them.
This is my little change. What do I like? What? Who?
Nothing. Go. I would like to hear about the Cowboys.
I'm not sure. Anyway, all I'm saying, you threw me
I'm
off
not
kilter.
sure either.
All I'm saying is, in the end of it, I am starting to believe in Dak. Quack quack, Dak dynasty. I think we're gonna roll these playoffs. I don't know if we're gonna win a Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna win this game. I heard a wise man once say, "I might not be good enough to kick everybody's butt, but I sure as shit can kick yours." So that's what we're saying going into Green Bay.
I think
And after
that's
you, yeah, and I would say I think I know why that you probably were on Epstein's list there, Randy. After yeah,
Well, why?
so I think
So come on, it's just going over my head.
I didn't see his name on the list though, Paul. Are you sure?
Yeah, I didn't either, and I'm not sure what the correlation.
Oh, did you check? Did you check for
Listen,
Randall the
Aaron
Goat?
Rodgers, we're not looking to get on an apology tour here for the next couple of days.
No, he's more like Jimmy Kimmel having 10 people writing his speech out there, and he still can't get it out right.
Pfizer.
Man, I got such good. By the way, speaking of the devil, you know how I've been talking about the Cowboys' horrible run game all year? Take a stab. Who leads the NFC East in running this year?
Jalen Hurts.
No, it's actually
Swift.
Swift. But 35 or 30, 40, I guess it's actually 44 yards behind.
I thought you were
It's Tony Pollard with over 1,000 yards. That was a stat I
would've
couldn't
never
believe.
guessed that.
I would have never guessed it either. He's actually having a under the radar, pretty half decent season. So maybe we do have a little bit of a run game.
Oh, it's 17 games, 1,000 yards isn't what it used to be. I mean, you're only talking about
No.
60 yards a game, maybe. It's not that impressive
No one
anymore.
cares what a Bears fan has to say, Mike.
I thought it was cool that McLaurin got his 1,000 yards, though. I thought that was
1,002.
Yes, they want to make him happy. Want to keep him happy in the offseason.
Now that's impressive for anybody in Washington to get 1,000 yards. That's a little different.
Impressive. Would you think of famous Jameis handing the ball off down in Atlanta?
God, he's such a dipshit.
I loved it.
I love
Oh,
that
absolutely.
interview. I enjoyed the interview. Like, I watched it a couple times.
I liked it how I felt bad for Williams. Like, he went from leading the league in rushing
17
touchdowns to
1
0
on the last play of the
and
season.
then 1 on the last play of the season. They wanted to get that guy his touchdown.
Like, I get his logic and what he was saying. They were just pissed. Like, if they would have went out there and ran a play and didn't go out like they were going to kneel the ball, they might not have got as mad. I mean, but I get what he was saying. He's like, we got an interception in the 1 yard line. Like, what if we would have just got in? Like, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that they went out like they were going to kneel the ball and then they tricked them and did it. I think that's what pissed them off more than anything. But you know what I say? I say, do it. Who cares?
Yeah, he was pretty hot. He was like
and he got
on
fired.
fire.
They got fired the next day.
Didn't even make the trip home, I don't think.
All right, I think that'll do it for this week's show. Appreciate everybody watching. Smash that like and subscribe button for us, please. Keep our producer happy. We'll be back next week to look at these playoffs and continue with our confidence polls.
Go Birds.